Alaikum. Before I speak today, I would like for us to offer a prayer on the 700 kids that have been killed in Gaza, their families. Almost right now is 2,000. So I'm going to recite the Fatiha, which is the open chapter of the Quran, which often when somebody dies and in funerals and so on, we recite the Fatiha on behalf of their souls. So for those who know Al-Fatiha, please recite it with us out loud, and we'll send it to all those that have died, been killed, martyrs in Palestine. So we'll offer this prayer before I speak. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. There are certain facts that we have to put when we speak about Palestine. The first fact, Palestine is the last settler colonial project to be commissioned by the Western powers. Second, Zionism is a Western constructed movement born out of the racism, anti-Semitism, ugliness of Europe, and imposed on the Palestinians. Third, Arabs, Muslims, Palestinians have never had an issue with Jews and Judaism. Arabs, Muslims, Palestinians lived with Jews for 1,400 years in Iraq, in Syria, in Palestine, in Egypt, in Yemen, and more so when the Inquisition and the expulsion of Muslims and Jews from Spain. Jews went to live with the Muslims. Europe's history is not our history. Europe racism is not our history. Europe anti-Semitism is not our history. Europe and US Islamophobia is not our history. Fourth, Herzl from day one, when he wrote a letter to Cecil Rhodes, Minister of Colonies, that had the audacity to name a country in Africa on behalf of his name, Rhodesia, which we liberated and now is called Zimbabwe, just to remember. He writes to Cecil Rhodes, why do I turn to you in such a matter? Because it is something colonial. It is something colonial. Palestinians are a colonized people. And every time you need to speak, we have a colonized and the colonizer. It is not a miscommunication. It's not a misunderstanding. It's a land-based colonization, settler colonialism that is dispossessing the native indigenous Palestinians. These are critical facts that we need to understand. Settler colonialism does two things, sometimes together, sometimes separately. It engages in genocide and engages in transfer. It's not complicated. If you live in America, you understand this. The indigenous population whom land we stand on today, they were committed to genocide. And those who remained are transferred into the reservation where they continue to be today. And in order to replace the population after the genocide, they brought our black brothers and sisters as cargo in the hulls of ships, and they are still living as cargo in America's intercity. We need to understand this. This is what the Palestinians are going through. Now, people ask you, what do Palestinians want? As if we're asking for a shawarma and a hummus type of a plate. It's not complicated. Palestinians want freedom. 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 That's what we want. Dignity. Right of return. We want to see our houses, our homes, our lemon tree, our fig tree, our apricot. We need to go back to the streets where our grandparents were. That is not strange. That's what the Palestinians want. And no amount of bombs on top being blown up on our skulls, no borders, no walls, no Western European or US hypocrisy comes to try to end this aspiration of the Palestinians. We are dreaming, hoping, and aspiring for the table of freedom, to sit at the table of sovereignty, to break the bounds and the chains that have been put on our hands and our houses and our dreams. And as a colonized people, we will never stop. You could do whatever you want. If you think the end is Gaza, you are dreaming. You have not read the colonial history. No colonial power will remain. No colonial power will remain. If you want some books, we will send some books for you. If you can't read, we'll teach you to read about what a colonized people is able to do, will do. Freedom! 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 One thing. Palestinians in Gaza are not free people. They're internationally dependent people. So you need to tell the UN, you need to tell President Biden, you need to tell Macron, all of them, Palestinians are internationally dependent people, and all of these Western countries with Israel are engaging in genocide against a protected population. So we need to understand this. So you need to speak the language that this is genocide taking place, and ask people, are you supporting genocide? That's the language that we need to put in these hypocritical people that speak not only from two sides of their mouth, but the wrong side of their body. Assalamu alaikum.